democracy and one of the most important pillars of our democracy, which was whether or not we are going to make it more difficult, as is happening in many states, or protect and make it easier for people to vote. That's what's at stake right now, and it is a shame that nearly every Republican in the United States Senate refused to even allow a debate on this issue.
Just one day after millions headed to the polls to cast their ballots in hundreds of races, Republicans surprised no one and once again blocked a key voting rights bill. A vote to just begin debate on the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act was blocked earlier today, making it now the third bill to be obstructed by Republican filibuster. Senator Lisa Murkowski was the only Republican to join Democrats in supporting the bill, making it 9 Republican votes shy of what would have been needed to advance, and what Manchin has argued would be possible to attain. Joining me now to discuss is co-founder of Black Voters Matter, Cliff Albright. So Cliff, what do you make of Republicans blocking this bill once again?
I mean, hey, good evening, Charles. What we make of it is it's exactly what we expected, with perhaps the sole surprise that Lisa Murkowski actually supported moving forward with debate. Again, just to reemphasize what y'all just shared in your reporting, this was not a vote on the bill itself. This is simply a vote on whether or not to debate the bill, whether or not to even talk about it, and they're going to filibuster that. And so, again, I've said this before, said this earlier today at the White House where we were demonstrating today, trying to put pressure on President Biden. He and Chuck Schumer and the others have given Joe Manchin time to find 10 reasonable Republicans. They don't exist, right? And so they need to tell Joe Manchin, look, your time is up. We gave you time. We even let you modify the bill. This is now closer to a Manchin bill than what the original For the People Act was. We've done all this. Now it's time for you to get out the way, to vote to fix or nix the filibuster altogether, but at a minimum to modify it for voting rights. They've got to make that case. They've got to put that pressure on. He said he wanted it to be bipartisan. Well, he got one senator to agree to do it. So that, on top of the fact that 87% of the country already supports it anyway, makes this about as bipartisan as it's going to get in the current climate. So he needs to get out the way, modify the filibuster, let's open debate on the bills, and then we can deal with getting it passed.
Was this all part of the strategy? Letting Manchin basically co-sponsor, help write the bill, bring it up for a vote, show him that he still cannot get Republicans to buy in, so that he would feel pressure to then get rid of the filibuster, or at least have a carve out on voting rights?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chuck Schumer was very clear, at least some weeks ago, where he said that he was going to give some Manchin some time to prove that he could find 10 Republicans. I would like to think that, that what Chuck Schumer had in mind was that by allowing Manchin to do all this, and by putting Manchin's signature on this bill, if for no other reason, Manchin's pure arrogance, right? His huge, oversized ego, if for no other reason, at this point might be enough to get him to say, you know what, it was one thing when they were just fighting against and filibustering the For the People Act. That didn't have anything to do with me. But now this is my bill, right? And now they're trying to filibuster me. If nothing else, what we would like to think is that his own ego, if not just for doing the right thing, that alone might make Joe Manchin say, you know what, now's the point where I'm actually going to vote to modify the filibuster so we can move forward. So again, his ego, his arrogance, plus the fact that Murkowski voted to move this forward, I'd like to believe that was part of Chuck Schumer's strategy all along, regardless of whether it was or it's not. That's where we're at now. Now they need to finish the job, put pressure on Manchin to actually move forward with this, and let's get this done.
Manchin still hasn't clearly committed to doing this, to kind of reforming the filibuster in any way. And the Build Back Better plan is still not been passed, not really even really been voted on. That's going to be a tough vote for him. Will he still be in the game of making a tough vote right after having a vote on the Build Back Better plan?
With Manchin, he's such a wild card. At the end of the day, just last week, President Biden was saying that he felt confident that he had his vote on Build Back Better, and then 2 days ago he gives that press conference and just shows his rear end, by basically going against the financial aspects of the bill, which basically is
Right.
again, it's the amount that he suggested weeks ago when they said, well, what amount could you live with? He said, oh, 1.5, 1.75. It's literally at the amount that he suggested.
So,
And then he acts a fool
Cliff,
saying, oh, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know if,
interrupt you for 1 second. I'm gonna interrupt you 1 second. We
yep.
have a little bit of breaking news now. Phil Murphy is giving a victory speech in New Jersey. We want to go to that and take
Mm.
the listen just for a little bit. I think we're gonna cast that. We're trying to get it up in the control room. So that signals that the New Jersey race, which was a very close race, much closer than anyone thought that it would be, since Biden was able to carry that state with such a large margin, that it was way closer than it should have been. What do you make of how close that race itself came out to be, Cliff?
Yeah, it's tricky because I think at the end of the day, the problem I don't think was so much that it was closer than what it should have been. At the end of the day, he was trying to make history in a sense that no Democrat
To
Jersey was
Cliff
that in the
Albright. This
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Cliff. We had Phil Murphy up for a bit there, but he blanked out on us. So finish your thought for us,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, in both of those states, the history was that in the year after one party's president is elected, that the other party loses those positions. And so, I think at the end of the day, I think there's some polling questions that people need to look at. Why wasn't it shown in the polling that this might actually be a closer race than what it was? But let's not underestimate the fact that he had to go against 4 decades of history in order to get reelected as governor. But I think there's another lesson in this, right? The difference between him and
Mm-hmm.
McAuliffe is that he ran. He's not necessarily a full-fledged progressive, right? He's not part of the squad or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But he ran a pretty progressive race. He didn't shy away from talking about the progressive things that have been done in New Jersey. They've done some good stuff. He didn't shy away from talking about some of the bold actions that he took on COVID. He leaned into that. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
the slight difference that you
Right.
may have seen in terms of enthusiasm of the base in New Jersey versus Virginia, where Terry McAuliffe did not
R-
run that kind of a campaign. I think that may say
Correct.
something about
All right,
why
Cliff, we
Murphy
have
was
him up
more
now.
racially.
Cliff, Cliff, let's take a listen for just a little
Yep.
bit. We have him up on the screen now.
Yep.
And just our luck in live TV, the moment we get him up, he has walked off and said his thank yous and goodbyes. That's
He,
brilliant.
he did a
Anyway,
Russell. He
so
did a Russell
Phil
Simmons.
Murphy
Thank you
has
for coming. Right.
exactly. He said thank you, and Charles, but we're not saying anything on your show.
Right.
So Phil Murphy
Right.
has just given an acceptance speech. Will be governor of New Jersey again. Cliff Albright,
Mhm.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate your time.